I remember when almost all the houses in Calibishie were wooden houses. And I also remember when that tradition started to shift, when concrete pieces were placed alongside the wooden structures. They were connected, and eventually it happened that most, if not all, the wooden structures were totally rebuilt. Well, not quite rebuilt, but taken out of commission by having concrete complete the entire structure. Our house at Back Street in Calibishie was a wooden house with 2 bedrooms. Mamo and Dad in his bedroom, and the other bedroom that my sister and I shared. Well, we fought over. And I remember the first piece that was placed to the house, and I remember other pieces of concrete being placed all around the house. Until now, there is no wooden part of the concrete structure at Back Street by Manibs. But this was not a concrete structure before, it was a wooden house. And the last wooden part was taken out just after, I think, was it Erica or Maria? It might have been Maria. So I say that to mean that there was the tradition of Calibishie, and I guess Dominica at the time, especially the rural parts, countryside, would have been wooden structure, which for some reason or the other worked. And the same can be said about our little house at Larry and Love Corner in Woodford Hill as well. It was just the thing when people had wooden houses. But what I really want to discuss on this episode of Calibishie Chronicle is the ingenuity of the men in terms of producing lumber to build the houses. And when I say ingenuity, I mean in procuring the lumber and also in carrying the lumber from where they procured it. I remember Shasha, I think Coco Kobe, my grandfather himself, Mr. Kayen, Charles for sure, Tibbs and these guys. They were the men of the community, and they would do something called HAL to cut the wood, the lumber, to make the houses. I think Yo might have been one of those men as well. Babo wasn't quite. Babo was a musician. Babo was a wicked cultural drummer. Anyway, so the HAL is a mechanism where the men would fell a tree. They would cut a tree, but they would do it in a way where they would create a kind of a galta. It's a wooden framework structure where they would control the tree to fall on that galta in a particular way, or parts of the tree, and they would, after that, trim the branches out. It would take days to prepare a lumber, because back then the trees would have been huge, sometimes 6 feet, 8 feet across, 5 feet, it depends. So they would find that tree to lean on that galta, find a way to prop the tree up. After a while, pushing, propping until it gets up on that kind of a wooden framework. They would use wooden wedges to wedge the tree on that wooden frame so it wouldn't shake. Then they would take lines like rope and soak this in some sort of oil, or sometimes they use powder, but most times they use oil. And they used to do the oil, they used to make the solvent from charcoal and other stuff like that. And they would stretch the rope, the cord along the tree, mark the tree. And they would mark it. So if they're going to get like 9 or 8 or 10 planks, sometimes they do 2-inch plank, sometimes they do 1-inch plank, and sometimes they did 4x4 pillow tree from the lumber that they cut. The pillow tree came from the harder woods, the châtaignier, the bois diable, and then the gommier and so on. They used that to make the larger boards, so they were thinner. And it would take them sometimes days to prepare a lumber or a tree to cut it down in pieces. On the next episode, I will tell you a bit more of how the process of HAL went, and there were particular songs and chants that went with it. It was something else to behold. So we'll discuss that in terms of the entire operation of making the lumber via the HAL route coming up next.